Alright, this is our final presentation for UGBA C5. We're Zesty. I'm Andrew Midiot.
And I'm Jonathan Lee, and we're excited to share our journey with you.
So today we're going to walk you through our business model canvas. So start off with our value proposition. So some initial thoughts in terms of pains. We thought that it would be not having the right ingredients when you're cooking, finding a recipe, or just eating the same foods over and over again, or simply just not knowing how to cook well. But through numerous customer interviews, we found that the true pains were that people had a big problem multitasking while cooking and reading recipes. That was a big struggle for them. Some original gains that we thought of was that we could help them save money and eat healthier. But the real gain after talking to customers was that they're able to feel proud and accomplished when they make a good meal, especially for other people. It helps them to impress people. And so we changed our app to sort of reflect that gain. And the original jobs that we thought our product was solving was that it helped you learn how to cook, help deviate from your normal routine, or just experience new meals. And so how this changed after some interviews was that we learned that people wanted a tool to help them cook, but also they wanted a way to share their creations, to show off to others.
So once we started to develop all of our new findings, our value proposition initially was very, very off from what we ended up updating it to be. And so mainly our target group completely changed. We were no longer targeting just college students. It was really just anybody that wants to cook, and it happened to be a much younger demographic. We scrapped the idea of utilizing just produce that's already on hand, because people, when they cook, it's more of an event that they prep for, so they already have all those things. It's not necessarily a need that they needed. We no longer compare ourselves to traditional cookbooks, because with traditional cookbooks, it's kind of a dead market, because with the internet, there's always a slew of recipes online. And so we're just looking to disrupt online recipe sites. And customers didn't really care about cost savings either, so we had to just kind of scrap that idea, and customers just really wanted a better cooking experience as a whole. It was more impressive. It was more important for them to be impressive with making a good meal to show to others than really just having just like a good tasty meal. It was all the whole encompassing experience of cooking, and that's what Zesty was going to do for them.
So in terms of customer segments, originally we thought that our target audience would be college-aged and young adults who are looking to improve their cooking skills. So what we did in order to test this is we just went out and talked to a bunch of different people, pitching our idea and getting their thoughts on it. So we talked to a lot of college students, some high school students, as well as older age people, roughly ages 25 to 50. And so what we learned from this is that people tended to fall into three different categories. One, they're either wanting to improve their cooking skills, but they might be intimidated by it. Two, they cook often, but they want an easier way to find recipes. Or three, they want to share recipes and their creations with their friends online. And so what we learned from this is that our customer segments are based less on age and profession and more on level of interest of cooking. And so we have a segmented market targeted at those three things.
Under the channels for our business model canvas, we really just thought we need our mobile app to be distributed somehow, and that's just simply through the Android and iPhone app stores. But our main focus was really trying to figure out how we're going to advertise to our target demographics. And we found out that people usually hear and learn about certain apps through referrals rather than just purely social media advertisements. So we really focused on creating the product so that you could share pictures of your creations to other people, and in that way the product would also double as our channel to even more people in our customer segment.
So in terms of customer relationships, we initially thought that we'd not have much customer interaction. We'd create the app, maintain it, but other than that, we wouldn't really interact with the customer much. So we didn't really get a chance to test this section because we were busy working on the other sections. But throughout the semester and the idea as it changed and grew, we found out and learned that customers really wanted something that was unique and different from current recipe websites. So one thing that they really wanted was an online community with their friends where they could share their recipes and what they made. And so our idea pivoted from a simple one source of recipes to more of a community-based application.
For our key resources, we needed to try to find a way to make sure we had high quality content onto our app. And so initially we thought that a community of cooks and users would be able to like submit and rate apps, but we actually found out that with customers, that's what they didn't like about the existing websites that are on the internet right now, because they're so bombarded by recipes. They'll get 20 recipes just to figure out how to make pancakes, and they'll just be really overwhelmed by that. And so we really refocused on providing recipes on our own, and also establishing a new key resource of restaurants and getting them to post their own recipes. And in that way, kind of the restaurants, us, and the customers are all better off. And we were also able to gain revenue from these restaurants.
Some key activities for us included developing and maintaining the app, as well as finding, testing, and converting good recipes into our unique format. And so we were able to test the second portion of that by creating our MVP. We took a pre-existing cooking instruction video and sliced it up into smaller step-by-step instructions, and then uploaded them in the form of GIFs to our MVP. And then the second part of that is we also created our own step-by-step video instruction with GIFs using a recipe from a just general cookbook and doing the filming ourselves. From this we learned that it was easier to use a pre-made video because it was very simple to just slice it up and upload it that way. But we figured that we would run into copyright issues if we were to use other people's videos for our actual product. So in the long run, we'll probably have to create our own videos, but we believe that we can do this quickly and effectively as we get better at it.
For key partners, as a given, we needed an app developer because neither of us actually had the skills to be able to do it. So whether that means adding on a partner to the venture or hiring somebody, and we also just needed servers to operate our app. But the one really big variable was whether or not restaurants were going to work with us, and we really needed them as a very strong source of key partners. So we really just created a threshold that meant if 3 out of 10 restaurants that we interviewed were willing to put on recipes for our site or for our app, then we would consider them a viable source of partnership. And our result ended up being 4 out of 10, which exceeded our threshold. And so we really just learned restaurants are totally willing to hop on board, and that we can really focus on establishing these relationships.
For our cost structure, we found that most of our costs would be associated with advertising, the construction and maintenance of the app, as well as server costs. And then we'd also need to make some profit in order to pay our salaries. This section is a little bit hard to test because we're not actually building the app, but we were able to find some general estimates online for these things, which we added together. We found that our break-even estimate would be about $185,000.
So we really needed to secure a good way to create revenue streams. And so initially we thought that we'd just charge every user $2 to download the app. But of course we had to test this, and our threshold was 8 users out of 10 that we interviewed, and the result ended up just being 0 out of 10. So we really had to conceive a new way to get revenue, and that was actually going to be through restaurants. And what the restaurants would do, they would pay for ad space and also post a recipe, and that would give them a good credibility to their name and also give them exposure, and the customers would actually enjoy seeing recipes posted by local restaurants. And so we also invoked a pay-per-click model, so it was relatively low risk for restaurants, so they're only paying for the exposure that they truly do earn.
So just some general overview and thoughts on the class. We really learned a lot. One of the main things that we learned is really sort of how to ask the right questions.
In addition to that, there's so many integral parts of entrepreneurship, and you have to simultaneously think of so many different parts of the business.
And as Professor McDaniels drove into our heads over and over again, it's all about the customer. What the customer says is what you need to do. And that was one thing that we really learned this semester.
And it takes a lot of effort to be an entrepreneur, and a lot more effort than I even previously thought.
We also learned that it's not nearly as glamorized as we originally thought. The media tends to make it seem better than it is, and we learned just a lot more effort. There's a lot of dirty work that goes involved to those really big IPOs. So yeah, just thank you for all your time in teaching the class. Really enjoyed it, learned a lot, and hopefully we'll be able to apply what we've learned in the future. Thank you very much.